A very, very pleasant day to everyone who has taken the time to listen to this. First of all, thank you very, very much for picking this up. I am Shri Raghav, and I'll be walking you through a brief of the work I've done in collaboration with Mr. Harisha AS and Dr. Robin VV, the diet of the Indian roller. So before we start, some points to note. Please do feel free to go through the original data sheet for full reference and do read the content on each of the slides. The explanation and speech will be different, but the written content is just as important. Now that that's settled, let's get right to it. I'll keep it short. So, this presentation will consist of an abstract, an introduction to the subject, a statement of purpose, a review of the methods used, result, conclusion, and references. So this project got started about a year ago with Mr. Harisha approaching me with this idea, asking me if I'd like to do it. So we started on a rather casual note, but it got more serious as time went on when we started finding real results. So after that, it became a rather drab 10 months of meticulous data entry and meticulous reviewing. And the project you see before you is the fruit of dozens of hours of labor. So, uh, basically, the motivation was that citizen science platforms can be used to solve many problems that research and institutions may not be able to solve. For example, a lack of labor and manpower, for example, and also the fact that it is rather acceptable for citizen science to use photo records as this principal basis of studies. So, as you can see, the abstract is displayed that's displayed before you. We used around 20,000 records from Macaulay and Macaulay Library and iNaturalist, and this was done for a full range study of the Indian roller. The Indian roller, as most of you know, is a near threatened species recently, according to IUCN Red List. This is partly due to its use in certain rituals and religious customs, but that's another story. So it is a rather colorful and striking bird. It is certainly not uncommon, but what is uncommon is just how little it's studied, at least diet wise. So while studies like Asok and et al. Do cover certain parts of its range, for example, the Kaveri Delta, there is, however, almost no data upon its no data that can be used as a control for its entire range. So while there is data for small areas, there is no data for exactly how its general diet trends go and what the species itself feeds on in general. So this study aims to fulfill that gap. The purpose is to fulfill a major lack of comparative data and also do for the infeasibility of conventional study techniques. Conventional study techniques would include field study and observational study, which cannot obviously be done for a range as big as the Indian rollers. The Indian rollers spread across the Indian subcontinent as far as the Arab Emirates, and that is entirely impossible to survey the manpower and hours wise. So this study was made to make up for exactly that. So the methods we used were for the extensive range of the roller to be surveyed. This is used for where pictures that citizens had taken through platforms such as eBird and iNaturalist. So obviously, this makes up for the lack of manpower because citizen science can be done anywhere at any place, which is certainly something that research and field study cannot be done. Pictures taken by citizens were used for this. So, since there is no shortage of citizens and citizen scientists throughout its range, we were able to do this using pictures from these aforementioned libraries. So, while it was time consuming, the labor paid off in the end. So, looking through a picture, looking at what exactly the bird was preying on, and afterwards linking the picture and tabulating its food source, and also noting down any unusual behavior that it was displaying. And this continued for about a few thousand pictures. And afterwards, charts were made and data tabulated, and this is what you see before you. The study's final results yielded final values about 19.53%, 4.14%, 7.10%, 55.03%, 0.00%, 1.18%, 11.241%, and 1.78% of the total values taken for Coleoptera, Hemiptera, Hymenoptera, Orthoptera, Diptera, Ordinata, Lepidoptera, and others respectively. And this is in stark contrast to regional studies conducted, so this could very well fulfill the gap for or required for a control study, and indeed fulfill the purpose that we had stipulated before. So this would be charts that were made to represent exactly the results we received. So please do take a moment to look through them. So there has also been a chart made of to account for approximate latitudinal distribution as well. So as it can be seen, grasshoppers and beetles were the principal food sources of the roller, and they seem to be available almost they seem to be almost omnipresent in their range, and hence it seems the rollers have indeed adapted to catching and making use of these abundant food sources. However, in regions where certain other organisms are found, organisms such as snakes, mice, and even skinks and scorpions were seen being preyed upon, showcasing exactly how much of an opportunistic predator an Indian roller can be. So, in conclusion, the diet of the Indian roller is still very much up for debate. There is no necessity to take the study at face value, but there is, however, a need to vouch for exactly how reliable it is. Uh, and this is testified by exactly how many pictures have been reviewed. And if still in doubt, please do refer to the original data sheet, which will be attached. So the references are as follows in this slide. Do refer to them if required. Thank you very much for your time and attention. We really do hope you enjoyed our project. And if you have any questions, do reach out to us. Thank you very much.